is going on, Cuse Nation? Welcome to yet another edition of Orchid. My name's Giovanni Heater, as always, and thank you for joining me. Today, I'm joined by Athletic Director's son, Tommy Wildhack, and my good friend, Austin Alberici from Sports Media Class. And we're here on a three-part series breaking down Syracuse basketball recruiting. Now, the crazy thing about recruiting is a lot goes into it, and it changes on a day-to-day basis. We could get on here tomorrow and tell you a completely different story than we did last week, and we could do it again 2 weeks from now, and it could be completely different from that. That's kind of the beauty of the beast a little bit, but we're going to have some fun, and we're going to break this down in a three-part series, like I said. So right now, we're going to take a look in episode 1 at the 2020 recruiting class. That's the guys that you're going to see, like Alan Griffin, and that's going to be very exciting because that's what's happening now, and that's kind of what people want to hear about. Who are we going to see on the floor next season? And along with that, we're just going to give you a little bit of a recap of last season, the end of it, and what to expect, what we really need to fill certain holes to basically just get better. So that's exciting. Then episode 2, we're going to look at the 2021 recruiting class, some big prospects in there. And then following that in episode 3, we're going to dive deep into the 2022 recruiting class. And that seems a bit far down the road. Typically, we probably wouldn't do that, but you have names in there like Dior Johnson. So that's something that we absolutely have to do. And with that, we'll talk about the NCAA rules, and we're going to talk about the G League. So stay tuned for a big 3-part series. But nonetheless, let's introduce our guest. Tommy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good, thanks. What about you, Bert? How are you?
I'm doing great.
All right, so let's dive deep into this 2020 recruiting class without further ado. And guys, what are your thoughts so far? Before we name specific players, just overall, what are your thoughts on this class?
You know, we didn't really bring in any big name, but we brought in 3 guys who, they're going to provide more depth. They're going to be able to play right away. And, they're going to help take some of the load management, just some of the work off, Joe and Buddy and Quincy Marek. Just give those guys less demand, and they're going to help the team win games. Absolutely.
What about you, Austin?
We got big guys, 6'6", 6'5", 6'5". That helps with the 2-3 zone, and I think it's going to change the team a lot.
Yeah, that's what really stood out to me with this class is the height, and that's kind of what Jim Boeheim has certainly leaned towards lately, which is interesting because you look at the past, guys like Scoop Jardine, Johnny Flynn, those weren't big point guards. I mean, those were guys that you couldn't not take them. They were that talented, but looking back at posters like this right behind me, the 2011-2012 team, those guys weren't huge. And then suddenly we're over here getting 6'6" guards and getting power forwards or even small forwards that are 6'9" and a 7-foot center. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying I one thing I'm missing is that big body on the inside, a guy like a Rick Jackson or an Arinze Anuaku. That's something we haven't had. But that was also something we looked into with guys like Isaiah Stewart. We can dive into all that. But let's talk about the end of last season. What do you think was the biggest thing that was missing, boys?
Barama Sidibe. He plays good. We have a good team. He doesn't. It's all about the big guy, and I think down low is most important. And that's what we need in the next couple of years.
Tommy, do you think it's a matter of offensive performance down low, defensive performance down low, or just all around?
I think it's a lot of things because, you need a guy who can rebound. You need a guy who can get offensive rebounds. But also, if we're going to be a better team next year, Joe and Buddy need to get better at the top of that 2-3 zone because they're not as long and athletic as some of the guards we've had in the past, but they're very capable of being a very good backcourt at the top of that 2-3 zone. So we need them to step it up. We need Barama to be able to get defensive rebounds, and even if he's not scoring, we need him just to have a presence where a guy has to worry about them so nobody's getting double teamed.
Austin, who do you think is going to be the guy to not fill Elijah Hughes' shoes, because that's going to be difficult to do, but who's going to be the go-to scorer next year?
I think Allen, if we have Allen off the waiver rules, but if we have him, he can fill the shoes. We just need him to shoot, and we need just to do the same as Elijah. And if he can do better, that's great. I think he could change the team a lot.
Do you think it's a matter of it's going to take a couple years to develop him into that player? I mean, this is a guy, we might as well dive into the recruiting now that we mentioned him. So, guys that don't know, Alan Griffin, a recruit from Illinois, a transfer here. So we're going to have him for 2 years after this. Right now, we don't know if he's going to have to sit or what the deal is. He put up some minor minutes and minor numbers in Illinois, but they were effective minutes. He's a guy, I don't really see him being able to take it off the dribble like Hughes could. He didn't have that same presence where Hughes could just take over a game. But at the same point to that is Hughes didn't have that presence when he was at Eastern Carolina, and we said, who's this guy coming in? We were excited about him.
Yep.
So it's kind of the same situation. I think we've been very fortunate to develop our transfers very well. I mean, even the grad transfers, John Gillen and Andrew White were effective immediately. And they were.
How about Michael Benajay?
Michael Benajay, of course, and then Elijah Hughes as well. So the question is going to be first of all, when he's going to get on campus, because that's a big part of being able to develop a player, and that's a question mark right now. And if he's going to be effective. Tommy, you know a lot about these NCAA rules. Can you talk a little bit about that and the question mark as to if he's going to be on the court come 2020 or if we're going to have to wait a year and watch him sit the bench?
So what Alan Griffin is going to have to do, if the NCAA says, you know what, we're not going to go through with this immediate eligibility thing, Alan Griffin has to find a way to show the NCAA that he would benefit from immediate eligibility and that he needs to convince them, give him a valid reason why they should grant him immediate eligibility. And if he can do that, he'll get his waiver. If he can't do that, then he'll be on the bench next year.
Now, my question is, what goes into that? Like, what does he have to do to say, I deserve to play now?
Well, it might be like, I want to play closer to home, or, I have a family member near here who needs my help, or, the coaches at Illinois, they didn't really treat me too well, and I feel like I kind of wasted a year there, and I feel like I should get it back, or hey, I didn't play a whole lot last year, so, I spent plenty of time on the bench anyways. Those are some ways he could get it.
Austin, what are your opinions on the whole transfer rule?
I think if you're playing, there's a reason why you're transferring. You're sitting the bench, you don't like the coaches, right? So you're wasting a year. So why should they be having to wait 1 year to play? I think they should be right in it. Practice, do your thing, and just get right onto the floor.
Now, the exciting thing about Alan Griffin, though, is his physicality and the charisma he plays with. He's known for really getting at it when he's out on the court. And my question, though, to myself was, is that a matter of him trying to make the most of his very few minutes, or is that how he plays all the time? Because we've seen that when you put guys in for a very short amount of time, like Quincy Guerrier early on in the season was going hard.
Bryce Gooding
for that 10 minutes he was in, right? And then honestly, he kept it full throttle the entire season, even when he was in longer. But that's kind of my question with Alan Griffin. We don't know a lot about him because he didn't play that much. He can shoot the three. You'd like it to be a little more consistent than it was. I'm not sure how good he is off the dribble, but nonetheless, it's exciting because Syracuse is good at developing guys, and that's a position that we direly needed somebody, hence why they got a transfer. So I think that's a good fit. What do you guys think?
Well, I think there's you can go.
I've been looking at his stats, his three-point shot when he's been in. I think he's shooting like 45% from the arc. Mm-hmm. And, when a guy's off, we need shooting. When we're off, when we can't shoot, I don't think we win games, right? We need to score. Right. And our last year, like we had a little bit of both, but we didn't have like how like back in 2013 we had those 2-3 zones that we could stay below 50 or 60, So if our scoring is off, we can play the defense. If our defense isn't great, we need to score. And so those guys on the bench that could help us a lot. So the shooting can help a lot.
And there's a difference between playing hard and playing in control, because you can do both. And I feel a lot of our guys, their freshman year, they'll play really, really hard. and then they'll find a way to control it so it won't look like they're playing as hard, but really they are. And I think next year, adding Griffin, adding Newton, adding Richmond, all guys who can shoot. And I think the guy we're going to be focusing around next year is Quincy Guerrier, because he has the potential to be an NBA player.
Did you see what Jim Boeheim said? It was during that Jim and Julie Boeheim ball. I don't know if any of you guys watched that. It was their charity event thing, but I watched it, and they were on a team Zoom meeting. And Jim Boeheim said that next year Quincy Guerrier is going to be shooting 45% from three, and he promised it. So that'd be pretty big because Quincy
He's got a great form.
He wasn't known for his jump shooting, though.
I mean, what I saw was, remember that shot off the backboard? That was a little rough.
I do remember that. And I don't think it was supposed to hit the backboard.
No, it was not.
No. Hey, but it went in. All right, so that's enough on Alan Griffin right there. Exciting stuff. He's coming to Syracuse. We're going to find out soon if he has to sit out a year or not. It should be in the near future. But now let's look at the 2020 incoming freshmen. First off, let's start the party with Kadary Richmond, okay, a four-star guy ranked number 87 in the ESPN Top 100, 6'6" guard. That's what really stands out to me. You had a guy, Tyus Battle, 6'5" guard. Add another inch on him, you got Kadary Richmond. He's out of Brewster Academy, which is the same place Buddy Boeheim just came from. So that's kind of a exciting little thing about him. And again, he's just a tall guard with great length, and it's going to be very good to play him effectively at the top of the zone. The 2-3 zone with tall guards, it's all about your wingspan and, getting your hands in the middle of passing lanes and things like that. And he's going to be super effective as far as that goes. He's been really high on Syracuse. He committed back in October. I think he could really stretch the floor as far as playing the shooting guard, point guard, or small forward position if you needed him at the 3 spot. Last year, he was averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists at Brewster. So what do you guys think about Kadary Richmond?
I think the ranking is misleading because, he shared the backcourt with Terrence Clark, who's going to be a top 5 pick. And I believe 2 other guys from there are going to high D1 colleges. Mm-hmm. So, he's definitely under the radar. And I think if you put him at a different school where there weren't as many top recruits, his numbers would be a lot higher and his ranking would be a lot higher. But this is a guy who's going to come in and be really effective. And he's everything you want in a Syracuse basketball player.
Tall. Again, yeah. Tall, long.
My big thing is tall guards make a better 2-3 zone. And if we have that we need that at the top of the key.
Yeah, and the thing with him, he's a pretty good shooter as well. Which is obviously exciting to see out of your guards, but he can drive the ball. He's pretty versatile, and his height doesn't get in the way of his athleticism at all. He's not awkward in any way. He's pretty athletic for his size because, sometimes the lankiness can build into that, but he's really not all that lanky either. He's got some muscle to him, which is exciting to see as well. So I'm personally very excited for Kadary Richmond. Now let's take another look at our third guy here on this 2020 recruiting class, and that is Woody Newton. Everybody knows him, a 4-star guard ranked 115th on 247 Sports. His height is 6'9". That's the same height as O'Shea Brissett, and he's going to be playing that same kind of role, the same position on the floor as O'Shea. So that's kind of a good comparison for him as far as the height goes. He's a pretty tall forward. Some teams have a 6'9" center. So having a 6'9" forward is definitely an asset. Yeah. And he's from Mount Zion Prep down in Maryland. And, again, he's a tall forward. He's going to be a great fit at Syracuse. He's probably the best pick for the fact that he's very skilled on the defensive end, which I'm excited for. And I think he's going to fill a lot of the shoes that Elijah Hughes played on the defensive end of the ball, because Elijah, again, a great shot blocker, and people forget about that. I feel like that's a role that Woody's going to have to take over for sure. And he played against Kadary Richmond in the preseason. And Newton scored 21 points. He was 5 for 7 from 3-point. This kid can shoot the 3, and he's big. That's another asset comparing him to O'Shea Brissett. He might be able to shoot it even better than O'Shea could. So I'm really excited about this guy. What are your thoughts?
I think he's my favorite player out of this class because one thing, his defense. he faced off against one of the top guards in the EYBL tournament. He was a 5-star, so he held him to 21 points. I think that's pretty good. When you're playing, they don't play 2-3 zone. They're man to man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he can shoot it, and he's a great defensive player.
Tommy, what are your thoughts about Woody?
Yeah, I mean, you love a 6'9" guy who can shoot. He can drive too, and he's not going to be, immediately an effective star his freshman year, but down the road, his junior and senior year, he's a chance to be, a top player in college basketball. And when he committed, people are telling him, why are you committed? Duke and Kentucky, they're going to offer you, he missed EYBL the previous year, so he was under the radar.
Okay.
And so otherwise his ranking would be a lot higher. And all of a sudden, the Dukes, Kentuckys, they were starting to say, we want this guy. But he stuck with his commitment. And again, people might read, 115, that's not that good a ranking. But trust me, this guy he's going to be a really good player.
My question for you guys is, what kind of role are these two guys, Woody Newton and Kadary Richmond, what kind of role are they going to play next season? Are these going to be guys that have to take a year or two to develop on the bench? Or are they going to play immediately? And what's that going to mean for guys like Quincy Guerrier, Robert Braswell, who's deciding not to transfer? We haven't heard any talk about that. So that's assuming Robert Braswell is still going to be a member of the Orange. Merrick Dolezaj.
I think, Woody, I think he's going to – Jim's going to play all the players in the beginning of the season. Then he'll pick his maybe like top 6, top 7 off the bench, like 2, 3 or 4 off the bench, and I think that's great for him. So I think we just need him to get rebounds. The bigs, rebounds, because we don't get that many offensive rebounds, right?
Right.
Like we get those, we got opportunities to shoot. We let up so many offensive rebounds last year. They had so many second points, second chances, and they got it. So we need those.
Yeah, I think I can't say it enough how important it's going to be to have production down low from the bigs, offensively and defensively. Barama was getting torched. I mean, the end of the season's the exception, but I'm one of the only people that still is not sold on him just based off of the end of last season. It'd be awesome if he could carry it over and he could still be very good. But again, he was getting beat up on the inside. Marek, as much as I love him, he's not made for the center position. So he was getting bullied on the inside, especially when we were playing teams like Duke. And you just need more production offensively down low as well from guys like Sidibe. He just doesn't seem all that coordinated still. I really want to see a big come in. I'll take a 6'10" guy all day over a 7-footer, even a 6'9" guy center, if it means that he's a big body that has some muscle on him. And that's what I like about Woody is he's not a twig. He's got some meat on his bones, which is exciting to see as well. Guys, that's about all we got for the 2020 commits. Again, we talked about big man. So I think one thing that Syracuse is still going to look to do before we hit the court in 2020, whether it's going to be a transfer or a late commit out of high school, I think they're going to try and get a big man. And they tried to get Patrick Tape or Tape or however you want to say it from Columbia. They were kind of late in his involvement. People thought he was going to Cuse, including all of us. And then he wound up getting a late offer from Duke, committed to Duke, decommitted from Duke.
And then we thought he was going to come to Syracuse again.
Then he committed to Duke again.
He just jinxed us.
That would have been a huge get. And then they were going after Matt Harms, another big man, that transferred out of Purdue. He's not coming to Syracuse. Again, they were late in his involvement. Everybody kind of threw their name in the pot of Matt Harms. He was one of the biggest guys to transfer, the biggest prospects. So everyone tried to throw their name in there, and it wasn't a spot for him because he didn't feel like he would have had a role here with Sidibe coming back and things like that, which is understandable. I don't think Boeheim's going to bench Sidibe just for an incoming guy next season. Things just don't work that way. Sidibe's played the zone for 3 years now. But do you guys think Syracuse is going to try and make a priority, whether it's through the transfer or the high school process, to get a big before we hit the court in 2020?
I haven't really heard anything about getting a new center. really we missed out on all the guys we wanted. Granted, most of them we were late there. We didn't really have much of a chance. But I think we're gonna have to roll with Sidibe, but really go after the 2021 class and focus on ETN, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year out of Connecticut, and he is a 6'10", big.
Yep. Austin, what are your thoughts?
There's a low chance we get a center this year. We just got to improve Sidibe, I think. Move stuff around, get the forwards at the center maybe, just like last year. I think Woody could be a big part of that. Just move everything down. You could put the tall guards at the 3 if you need to.
Yeah.
Just move things around, just try things. Because, when 21-22 comes, that's a big part of those are our years that we're going to have some good guys.
Absolutely. It's nice to be out of the whole phase of the sanctions. And that really has hurt our program the past couple of seasons, or the past 5 years, really, ever since that hit into effect. I mean, we had a bit of a dynasty going. Granted, we didn't win a national championship, but you got to look, you're talking 2011, 2012, we went 30-1 in the regular season. The following season, we went like 30-5. Like year in and year out, we were very good. We were number 1 seed 1 year. In 2013, we went to the Final Four. And just year in and year out, we were really good. 2014, 25-0. Like, we were very much a big part of the national stage, and we've kind of fallen away from that, and that's because of the recruiting. I'm not saying that, we haven't caught some bad breaks. Of course we have, with guys like Darius Baisley, who was a 5-star recruit that was committed and didn't. We've had some bad things go our way like that. But again, it's nice to see the sanctions are gone. We're in the conversation with big prospects again, like Dior, who stay tuned because we're going to talk about that come episode 3 of this series. And it's nice to see that Syracuse basketball is heading in a positive direction again. A thing that really hurts is the loss of Mike Hopkins. Mike Hopkins was everything. And I really want to touch upon the loss of Mike Hopkins next episode. Because we're going to need some content to talk about there. The 2021 class isn't anything super special. But I think that's the perfect way to wrap it up for now, guys. So thank you so much for joining us, Orange fans. Really appreciate it. Go hit the Twitter @GeoHeater. Go hit the Instagram @GiovanniHeater, the Facebook Orange Heat page. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more Orange Heat action. For Tommy Wildhack and Austin Alberici, my name's Giovanni Heater as always, and let's go Orange.